Hi, my name is Jersey Drozd, and I am the cartoonist behind the webcomic Boulder and Fleet Adventures for Hire, which you can find at boulderandfleet.com. So it's right down there at the bottom of the picture that you're looking at. This is going to be a streaming session of inking and flatting page 49 of the current story, Mining for Trouble. I am working in Manga Studio 5 / Clip Studio Paint Pro on the Surface Pro 2. And what we're going to do for the next hour is I'm going to finish inking this page. As you can see, it's almost done. I've got 2 panels left to ink, and I'm also going to flat them as I finish each panel. That's a new thing I've been doing recently with the process of the comic, is I used to finish inking entirely, then flat. Lately, I've been doing the flats as I finish the panels. With that, I will get started. If you are watching live, you can comment via the Hangout event page, which is linked in the description of this video. If not, you can just sit back and listen to the royalty-free music. I'll chime in every once in a while as I've got something to share about the process. You can see I work with a lot of layers. And labeling your layers matters, at least to me. Most of the things I draw in this comic, I draw in 2 layers. And when I say that, I say most objects, right? So like Boulder is an object, these crystals flying at him as objects. There's an outline layer, which I use as a vector layer. And then I have a soft ink layer that's a raster layer. Reason being is when I get to flatting this, I can just hide all the inner details of the crystals, or Boulder for that matter. And see like these soft brush effects in the background, right? So like this background, got a background soft inks layer, which I can hide. And then we just have these vector lines that when I fill, it'll just fill to the center line with those vectors, and it makes it easier and faster to fill. And then I can just turn on my soft ink layer again, which has all the texture details. So with these crystals, like you can see, they're all outlines right now until I go in on the soft ink layer and add the crystal detail. So again, it just makes the fill process, the flatting process, go a lot faster. It means that I've got an extra layer to keep track of for each and every thing on the page, but it's not insurmountable. It's something that you can. Let me just put it this way: the payoff is worth it. The speed of flatting makes up for the extra bandwidth that it takes to keep track of all these layers. And you just label your layers well. Makes a big difference too. And then I got the detail lines on. I'm going to put a few soft ink lines on them. I got my dry brush. Just a couple little scrubs here and there on the... Oh, not that big. Now, let's see. I did not make a layer for my mine carts there, and I am going to do that now because I'm going to want to put some holds on those things that are going to be different from Boulder. In the previous panels, I inked the mine carts in the same layer as Boulder because they were all interacting with each other. But in this particular case, these mine carts are going to have some color holds to indicate the fact that they're moving and flipping through the air. So I'm going to add those layers right now, put them underneath my crystal layers. So first we're going to make the vector layer. Get my Bluetooth keyboard will work now. Here we go. Here we go. Mine cart. And then I'm going to make minecart's holds layer. This is a raster layer. That is a clipping layer. And then minecart soft inks. I might not use this layer, but better to have it than not have it at all. So let's save real quick. It's always a good idea to save after you've done any kind of amount of work. Now, get in there and ink some minecarts. Yeah, there's our flipping carts. Meaning that they're literally flipping. I'm not using like a soft swear on that. The flipping carts. Oh, they're actually flipping. Erase where it overlaps with the crystals that are in front of it, or them. Yeah. Good. So now we can move on to inking Boulder. I don't think I'm going to be putting any soft inks on these guys because they are... Well, let's do this. Let's put soft inks, not to soften the textures on the cards, but to give a sense of motion, right? Just a little bit, just enough. Yeah, so it's not too static. All right, so now let's get Boulder inked up. Well, not tattooed. Oh, save first. All right, this is troubling. Did I work on the wrong layer? I'm trying to erase these crystals. Oh dear. Where did I put those? I bet you I put them on the blast layer. How much you want to bet? No. And the crystal soft inks. Ah, I had a couple different crystals layers. That was scary. I thought for sure that I did a very bad thing and put the wrong art on the wrong layer. That's an old Tumblr joke, right? I had two different crystals layers, and I'm not sure why I did that. This is one of the penalties of only being able to work on your comic every so often. Like I think I penciled this one like a week and a half ago. I haven't had a chance to get back to working on my comic in some time. Then you get back to it and you're like, oh, what was I doing again? Well, it's filled in. That. Now we break out dry brush. Just to touch up the inks, just a tiny bit. Oh, well, actually, I already see something. I gotta fix on the vector inks right here. All right, now break out that dry brush. And what I like to do is I like to just kind of just scrub it around some of the exterior, rather the outlines, the contours of Boulder, to give his fur a little bit of a softness, but then also just to add a little bit of shading in a few places. Right, so like right here in this foot, let's back out. Bigger brush. Just create a little bit of shading. Then, like again, you just go around some of the contours, just to give them slightly softer feel, like the ink is interacting with the paper, right? Why do that? You're working digitally after all. Because I like it when the analog drawings I do of Boulder and Fleet look the same as the digital drawings. I like them to match, so that when I'm doing sketches of these guys at conventions, or if I'm doing things like Inktober, which I'm doing right now, Inktober sketches are almost indistinguishable from the comic art. Doesn't feel different or weird. All right. So now I'm going to hide a lot of these soft ink layers. Oh, I'm going to save real quick. Okay. Now I am going to hide the soft inks, go through and find all the soft inks layers and get rid of them. Let's hold 3 other soft inks. Mine card soft inks, get rid of those. And I think, okay. So now what I do is I make my inks reference layer, go to my flats layer, and I'm going to fill in the back where I add the speed lines, and I'll show you why. Let's fill Hold on, and to fill the mine carts, let's grab a lighter purple. So see, because I put the contours on their own layer and left the textured lines on a different layer, make it a little bit easier to flat, although you do still have to go in and manually do some things sometimes. Like for instance, this little spot here. That should be red. And sometimes you got to get in there tight. But I've always said that flatting is one of those things where it's like it's just a chance for you to get up close and personal with your page and look for any last check-in for flaws. A little bit lighter yet. A little darker again. Okay, now to get the crystals colored in. Oops. Darn it. Missed one spot in the cards. Okay, now let's color those crystals. Whoops. I want to fill the whole background with that color. I just want the crystals. And this is a neat thing in Manga Studio, the way the fill bucket works. I think it works like this in Photoshop too, but I haven't tested it. If I click and hold on that crystal, it's only filling in where there's no paint. And I can drag. I got my, my pen pressed down. I'm dragging over top of the background, but there's a color there, so it's not going to fill there. But it's only going to fill now in any place where there isn't currently paint. So if you've got a bunch of open contours like these crystals, I can just click and just drag around to fill in all the spots. Makes flatting a little bit speedier. I learned that trick from my production assistant. She found out just by doing this stuff. Uh-oh. Did I color in one of the blasts? I did. Got a different color. Blasts are going to be a slightly lighter version of the crystal color. Crystal color, boom, boom. See, now I dragged across an area where there wasn't currently any paint. So if I fill these in this, then when it comes time to do the ground, I can do that all in one swoosh by just dragging the paint bucket. And because I've got my paint bucket set to fill an extra 2 pixels beyond the shape, you can see it's kind of bleeding out from some of the crystals into the background there. That's not a problem because all you have to do is just hit fill again on the background with the background color and we'll take back those 2 pixels. And once I get all the crystals done, oh, we see that one that escaped. Sometimes it doesn't quite get all the way to the corners. me just being fastidious. Because when this thing is shrunk down to Instagram size, nobody's going to see this stuff. But this is also preparing it for print, right? I mean, I do intend on printing this book when it's done. So, making sure the art is as crisp and tight as possible is a good thing. I think, there you go. I was just about to say, I think I'm done with the crystals. And I think I am done with the crystals. So now I'm just going to go ahead and select that background red and take the paint bucket and fill it one more time. And it fixes all the bleed out of the crystals. The bleed. And do the ground rather. Actually, I could just turn off the background layer altogether, right? Panel. Turn off the background layer. Boom. 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 No, not that. That. And turn it back on. And I can see some areas where the background color should extend out a little further than it is. Fix that by selecting the red, grabbing my pen tool with the background color still selected, and just painting it in. And when I get to the painting stage, I know I'm going to be blending these two colors together a lot more naturally looking. Right now, this is just about like maintaining a good set of flats for editing after the fact. All right, deselect, background is flatted. Let's grab Boulder's color. And because I filled in all the blacks on an ink layer, I'm just going to go ahead and color his claws and everything else the same color blue. And it's the same thing. You can see like his fur, the blue is bleeding out beyond his fur lines and into the background, especially right there. Not insurmountable. I'll fix that with another pass at filling in the background and filling in Boulder. Looks like I got them all. And his vest. Background color. Oh, I missed a crystal right there. Look at that. Right in front of Boulder. It's funny. Let's fill that in real quick. Boom. Okay. So now then the last step is I turn back on all the layers underneath. Fix the little bits here in Boulder. Oh, Boulder, why are you doing this to me? I think it has something to do with the way I have my paint bucket tool settings. Now is not the time to be monkeying with them. Right now is the time to be getting this page flatted, this panel flatted, so I can move on to the final page of inks and flats before my hour is up. Okay, so now, final step is to turn back on all of the layers that I turned off. And then I'm going to go to my background layer, and I'm going to grab the main color black. I'm going to grab a saturated line layer and put it right there, I think. That works. Pretty good. Put it back a little bit further. I think that might be okay. Let's test its settings. I'm going to give it... increase that brush size just a touch. So this is the reason I like the saturated line tools. I can create like these speed line effects, and I could draw this by hand very simply with the perspective tool, but the saturated line tool lets you change the settings and width and arrangement of lines after it's already been drawn. That is pretty convenient. I can bump up the gap between the lines. Doesn't seem to be changing too much. See, that adds less lines. Let's decrease the gap a lot. I want a lot more lines on there. Nice dense speed lines. Uh-oh. Did I just crash it? I might have crashed it. Nope. That's too many. Okay. That's too dense. Let's see if I can adjust this a little bit more. Oh, gracious. Might have given my Clip Studio Paint a little bit too much to do here. I'm going to save real quick. That is one of the downsides, at least for my machine. Using these saturated line layers does take a little bit of memory. All right. Try to increase the gap of the... I mean, it doesn't help that streaming while I'm doing this. That's where I want it. Okay, so now that that's done, as soon as it's done thinking about it, then what I do... Oh, come on, stop thinking about it. It's Clip Studio Paint. That's good. That's where I want you. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my Magic Wand tool. I'm going to go down my flats layer. I'm going to select the red, go back to the dense saturated line layer, and turn on a mask. Boom. Now I don't have to worry about where it all intersects with everything because it's all masked out. And I'll change the color on that after the fact by putting in speed line. Oh, come on. Speed line holds layer. Make that a clipping layer. And now I can, just drop in a different color on top of those lines after the fact. I'm not going to worry about that right now, though, because right now my top priority is to get panel 2 inked and flatted, rather. Let's go to panel 2. You can see I penciled in some speed lines there, but that's just going to be another one that I do with a dark saturated line. So let's turn our attention to Dear Sapphire. I'm going to save real quick. Okay. Break out that pen again. Using a curve ruler here for the contour of her face. This is a lot faster than just trying to redraw the line over and over again. You saw on Boulder, I was just blasting through it, but with Sapphire and the other mineral gals, sometimes take a little bit of a slower approach because they have Very stylized, cartoony faces. It's easier to tell when it's off model. However, details on the face, a little bit easier. Look at that. Bigger brush than that. I might break out some curves here for the guns. Cannons, I should say. They're not guns. Crystal cannons. Something I try to be very conscious of with Boulder and Fleet is appropriate language usage. And as I get older, and as we find ourselves experiencing the things that we're experiencing in the world around us, become very sensitive to gun violence in comics and in all storytelling, really. So I'm trying to be very cautious and conscious of the way that I deal with action in the story. Nope. I'm going to break out a curve roller again. And then we break out a concentric circle ruler. And this is exactly like using circle stencils and French curves, working analog. I would say it's actually a little bit better because, I don't have to have like this enormous collection of circle ellipse templates. I can make them to order. But this is almost exactly how I made my comics, like with these kind of tools, back when I was first starting out, back in late 90s. Go to drafting supply stores, get all the different collections of ellipse. Oh, why did I do that? Ellipse templates and French curves. I still have a lot of mine. And triangles too, a lot of triangles. And you'd want to get ones with like really dense, high quality plastic because man, those things got beat up fast when you started inking with them. Oh, need another ellipse. Now back out because I need to see. Nope, that's actually part of the cannon. There's a couple different ellipses going on here, right? With like the blast coming out of the cannon. There's like this circular thing that goes around it, which I got to deal with later. And sometimes your oh, look at that. Sometimes your vector erase tool can't erase the entire line up to the point of intersection because you have varying line widths. So for that, I just turn on a masking layer, and then rather I turn on a mask on the layer, and then I just erase that little bit of intersection. A little bit more manual, but it's still super convenient compared to traditional drawing. All right, this cannon. Too big. And it needs to move down just a touch. There we go. All right. Nope. Yeah, gummit. Down just a tiny bit more. I'm in trouble with this template right now, or this stencil. Or ruler, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to try something. I think I need to move these bits down a little bit. That's better. Thank goodness for the pinch vector tool, where you can actually just move an entire vector line as if it's an object. That's pretty great. Because again, in the old days, that would have meant completely redrawing it, right? A lot of this is going to get covered up by the blasts and stuff. Okay. Let's save real quick, shall we? Thought I put the sweat on its own layer. Here we go. So let's do these little wet blobs. We've seen this in anime and manga. Little symbol to indicate confusion, frustration. Love those things. Used them a lot in Transformers Robots in Disguise. Fell in love with that technique of showing somebody's inner life, their inner feelings. Soft inks on Sapphire. Let's do that real fast. Don't have to go nuts with it. Okay, now we do the crystals. Early on, I decided that all the mineral gals would have color holds on the crystal aspects of their designs, which when you do that first drawing, looks really cool. Then we have to draw it over and over again. You're like, oh, why did I do that? It does look cool, but it's a pain in the butt to manage because I now have to draw all their crystal hair, as it were, on a separate layer. So you're doing a lot of jumping back and forth between layers this way. I have to go back to Sapphire. Erase that part of her eyebrow that's getting covered up by her crystal hair. Go back to the crystal layer. Erase where it's intersecting with the sweat bead. I think these are not actually crystal lines. I think those are part of the blasts. I penciled it. Again, I penciled this a while ago, so I'm not 100% sure what I was doing there. I think that those are part of the blasts. Okay, so crystals are inked. So now I need to erase where they intersect with other things. Got to go back to sapphire and erase the intersections. Okay. Then we go to our crystals soft inks. Whoops. I didn't erase some of sapphire soft inks. They intersect with things. Whoops, 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 whoops. There we go. Back to crystal soft inks. Okay. And a little bit of dry brush. And almost there. Now we can do the crystal blasts. This could require another ellipse template. Metric circle. Okay, real quick. Hey, Joseph. No, I have not seen. So Joseph is commenting in the chat for those who are just watching the video. Did you see that study about what American gestures don't translate into Japanese comics, like the licking finger sizzle gesture? I have not seen that study. And yeah, I would be. There's certain things where it's like they start out as idiosyncratic things until they get assimilated by the culture, right? Like, so I think of like, when my first encounters with anime and manga, when I would see the characters stop and just have a blank look, and like a dragonfly or something would fly through their head. I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, "What the heck?" But then I read enough manga and watched enough anime to know that, oh, that just means like it's this moment where they're like caught off guard and they kind of are blank while they're trying to collect their thoughts, right? Or like this kind of like duh moment in the story. So now I know, and I have to wonder, as like things like that become more commonly known by people, does it become part of the symbol system? I'm sure it does in some cases, right? Like as languages get assimilated, or the languages assimilate other pieces of language and so on. But I did not know that the whole like licking the finger and the sizzle thing did not translate in other places. When you think about it, like, yeah, what does that actually mean when they do that? All right, here we go. I'm done with those. Now what I might do is turn off some of the layers below, because I don't need the distraction. I want to just focus on making these blasts work. Mm. There we go. I don't think I've done many live streams where I'm inking. I think I've done some penciling ones, and I know I've done a lot of coloring ones. And I'm finding it exceedingly difficult to, well, not exceedingly difficult, that's an exaggeration and a half. I'm finding it difficult to talk through what I'm doing while I'm doing it, because like, that's why you're hearing me make a little noise like, because inking, while not as intense as thumbnailing or penciling, tends to be kind of a intense experience for me. It requires a lot of my bandwidth. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be doing a whole lot more of these. We'll see. I guess we can base it also on whether or not you guys actually are getting anything out of this. Would watching coloring make more sense to you? Penciling? There's no way I can do live stream while thumbnailing. That's writing. That's too intense. Besides, that would be mostly just watching me stare at a piece of paper and sketch little inscrutable things. All right. Looks like blasts are just about done. Get out of there. There you go. All right. Let's turn these layers back on. Do a little bit more erasing now. Put our crystals. I can see I got to do that on the crystal soft inks as well. Drawing through, that's what they tell you in art school, right? Draw through all your objects to make sure that they're set up properly. Your anatomy and your positioning is all right. And then you just don't use that information. But you do use that information, because that's how that information is what leads to you setting it up properly so it looks good. And I just missed a spot. Let me get that. The rest of her hair back here, for crying out loud. And in the soft inks layer, that line. There we go. All right, so crystals layer. I mean, I would argue that you are using that information or those lines, because how else would you have set up the illustration properly, right? Nothing is wasted. You gotta ask yourself: Are you drawing this to tell a story, or are you drawing this to show off to everybody what a great artist you are, right? And to be honest, it's a combination of both for most of us, at least for me. Yeah, I want people to love my art, and I want them to enjoy how it looks. And I want to impress my friends with how well I draw things. But ultimately, top priority for me is the story. Blast. Go to the blast layer. So now we got some weird stuff going on where we've got crystals overlapping with blast overlapping with sapphire. But like right here, the blast gets erased. One of those times where I'm grateful for like tight pencils. Out. And let's bring some more on sapphire here, shall we? Boom. That's good. Oh. I have to break out or rather go to the mask layer to do some fine-tune erasing there. And then over here on the blasts, I have to do a little bit more erasing where the crystals overlap it. Oh my gosh, am I done? Am I done with this panel? Almost. I have to hit save. Then I turn off the soft inks layers, which I believe I have done. Flats layer, making sure that my inks layer is set by the little lighthouse. Go down to the flat, add some. Come on, no. I want to get my colors. There we go. Let's get the crystals first. Oh dear, I screwed up something on sapphire. Got some details. Yep, sure did. I didn't put them on the pencils. The design element on her crazy arm cannons. I forgot to include. There we go. Okay. Problem solved. We can go back to flatting. Now the blast color. Butt beads color. Now let's do a background color, and I'm going to choose sort of like a purplish red. May change in the final drawing, but this is going to be the base that I work with. Did I miss anything? Okay. So now, I'm going to save before I do anything else. We're at the finish line. Like 10 minutes over. We go to the sapphire layer, the background layer, and I'm going to turn my ink black. I'm going to go and grab saturated line tool again. And this time, I'm going to go far away from sapphire. Did it not work? There we go. So now I can take stretch them over here. Actually, I think I'm going to move, I think in the original pencils, if I'm not mistaken, first was actually like starting from down here. Bring this up closer again. I don't think it needs to be that intense. There we go. Those are my instincts for telling me to go in the first place. I should have just listened. Okay, and then just like before, I go to my flats layer, magic wand, select that background, go to the dense saturated line layer, and turn on a mask. Boom, it's hidden. Make my holds layer. First holds. Make it a clipping layer. And then I'll grab my flats layer and I'm going to alt click on it and drag it. Make a copy. Call this one colors. And I'm going to shift select these guys, drag them into a new folder that I call colors. Because that color layer is going to get filled with a lot of other stuff too, like textures and so on. I'm going to shut off the reference layer setting. And I'm going to shut off my pencils layer, or rather hide it. And I am ready now to color the page. Let's save it. So, thank you, Joseph, for the clarification. You know, lick finger, touch someone else, and sizzle thing means the person was on fire. But air quotes doesn't translate either. Air quotes, I can see why that doesn't translate though, because that comes from, you know, our letter, our alphabet that we use, right? Our punctuation in the West. But you linked, if anyone wants to see what he's talking about, you can go to the Hangout event page, which is linked in the description of this video. And Joseph linked to a Twitter post about it. But yeah, there we go. The page is flatted and it's ready for painting in the next couple days. So this page is going to drop actually in a couple weeks. I'm way behind on my buffer and I got to like pull in some extra hours to get caught up on this again. But you will be able to read this at boulderandfleet.com. If you enjoy the Twitters or the Facebooks or the Instagrams, it's in those places too. You can read it on Instagram by following it's instagram.com/boulderandfleet. And on Twitter, it's twitter.com/boulderandfleet. And it's on Tapastic as well. It's, you know, just do a search for Boulder and Fleet. You're going to find it. But thanks everybody for hanging out and, you know, watching and chatting with me while I worked on this. Oh, if you want this to be a regular thing, a great thing you could do is go to patreon.com/Jersey. That's the Patreon for Boulder and Fleet. And one of the milestones I'm trying to reach is to unlock a regularly scheduled live stream. So if we want the live stream to happen on a certain day and time every week, happy to explore that idea, but we got to get the milestone unlocked over on Patreon. So, and some of you who are watching are actually supporters on Patreon, and thank you very much for believing in this project. And if you haven't heard of it, you can go check it out. Or if you can't support it, you can tell your friends. It's a great thing to do. One of the different rewards on there currently for this month is getting a sketch mailed to you. Boulder and Fleet sketch that I'm doing for Inktober. All right, I'm going to go. Thanks, everybody, for watching and hanging out. Until next time, I've been Jersey Drozd of BoulderandFleet.com and Jersey on Twitter. Okay, bye.